The root word what we have right now on the screen is dict or dick. We actually learned this under two scenarios when we were discussing the root Benny as well as mal, where we had two words called Benedict as well as maledict, right? So now it's time for us to learn more words under the same umbrella called dict. We all know very well, dict actually means to say something. It's a Latin root word which means to say something. Let's look at the example words. The first word is dictation. Everybody knows what is dictation all about, right? We used to have a lot of dictation during our school days. Our teachers used to dictate a lot, sometimes dictate notes. We used to take it down. So basically, it's an act of somebody orally telling something to others so that others could take it down, right? Dictation, dictating, both come under the same category. Next one, predict. Predict actually can be divided into two parts. One is pre, which means before. The second one is dict, which means to say, right? So let's say if I'm gonna tell you all what's gonna happen in 2050 very precisely, it means I am actually predicting, right? I'm saying something well in advance what's going to happen in the future or what could happen in the future. That's actually called as prediction or predicting. Next word is dictator. Dictator basically means a person who dictates the letter to a clerk or somebody. In many companies, there'll be exclusive dictators. Especially dictators were very, very famous when we used to have typewriters, right? Where there used to be a person who always used to give the message, dictate the message to the typewriter, right? So, I mean to say, there used to be a person who used to always dictate the message to the typist, and the typist taking the entire dictation used to type the so-and-so letter, right? That's exactly is called as dictator, the person who does dictation. Benedict, we discussed this in detail. Benny means good. Dict means to say. So saying something good is actually called as benedict. Maledict, once again, mal means bad. Dict means to say something. So saying something bad is actually called as maledict. And we are completely aware benedict and maledict are antonyms. Benedict and maledict are antonyms. Both are very important words. Make sure these are getting locked in your brains. Next word is contradict. Contra. Contra actually means against. Contra means against. Dict means to say. So if you say something against someone's speaking or someone's writing is actually called as contradicting. Okay. So usually contradiction happens a lot during debate competitions, during group discussions, okay, where somebody will definitely say something which is against to what you said, right? The last word is edict. Alright, edict basically means proclaiming the law. Proclaiming the law will be the best way of understanding, or in other words, making formal announcements, making any kind of formal announcements. Usually whenever the government comes up with new policies, new law, they make a formal announcement of the same. That's exactly is called as edict. Alright. So these are the words what we learned under dict, which means to say. Let's get into the next root word. Pyro. If you can recollect this, we learned a word called Pyro Mania under the root word mania. Pyro actually means fire. Mania means obsession. Obsession of fire or disorder of fire is actually called as Pyro Mania, right? So let's learn more words under the same root word. Pyre. Pyre actually means pile of burning material. Okay. It could be for any purpose, doesn't matter. So when you pile up the burning material to put the fire, then definitely it's called as pyre. Next one, pyrogenic. Pyrogenic means something which generates heat. It could be anything for that matter. Okay, if you have any object, if you have any item which generates heat, it can be called as pyrogenic. Pyroclastic. Pyroclastic actually is a terminology. You'd get to see this in different newspapers or maybe on TV in the news, in the form of the news when the volcanoes happen. Look at the meaning. Ash from a volcanic eruption. So when the volcanoes actually erupt, it will leave the ashes behind, right? That's exactly is called as pyroclastic. Pyromorphite means a mineral consisting of lead, chloride and phosphate, a minor source of lead basically, which leads to fire again. Pyrometer. Pyrometer is a machine which is actually designed to measure the high temperature. It's used in many places. You would actually get to see people using this in companies, in any sort of buildings where the constructions are happening. Pyrometer means a machine which measures the high temperature. Last word, pyrolysis. Pyrolysis means transformation of a substance produced by the action of heat. Okay, if there is the transformation of substance which is happening just because of the action of heat, it's actually called as pyrolysis. The next root word, which is very, very important, is pathy. Okay, or pathy, doesn't matter. Pathy actually means emotions or feeling. Any word which has P-A-T-H-Y, pathy, has something to do with one or the other kind of feelings or emotions for sure. So let's have a look at the same. Antipathy. Anti means what? Against. Right? Anti actually means against. Pathy means feeling. So if you have any kind of against feelings, it could be called as antipathy. Basically, you hate someone. You have the opposite feeling altogether than what normally people do have. Apathy. Apathy means no feeling, no emotions at all. I've come across many people like this who are very apathetic, who do not express any kind of feelings, neither they show any kind of emotions, nor they behave very emotionally. So that is exactly is called as apathy. Absolutely no feelings or emotions. Sympathy. Who doesn't know the word sympathy? When you show kind feeling to someone. Let's say you are walking on the road, you're passing through a street and you come across a beggar who is begging for money and you feel really, really sad looking at the person. You give that person money out of sympathy. So that's the kind feeling what you showed towards someone, right? Empathy. Empathy means feeling someone's feeling. So basically it means putting yourself into somebody's shoes. Okay? So if I have to understand you, I have to put myself into your shoes, to think you, to be you, to behave you, to act you, to decide you. Unless I do that, I will not be able to know what you are going through. That's called as empathy. Last one is called as telepathy. Tele basically means far. Pathy means feeling or emotions. So if you are able to know what someone who is very far away from you is feeling currently, it's actually called as telepathy. Especially telepathy happens to those people who are enlightened. If you are a person who is very enlightened, like Mr. Sadhguru. The next root word is omni. Omni actually means all. Alright? You can even consider it as everywhere. Everywhere. All or everywhere. There are beautiful words. In fact, most of the words what we will be learning in this category will be very useful for most of us to use them while speaking in English. The first word what we have over here is omnipotent. Omnipotent means with all the power. You have the potence. You have the potence of doing everything, doing all. So basically, omnipotent is used to God, who can do anything at any point of time in anybody's life, anywhere, in any situation. Omniscient. Omniscient is a person who knows everything. If you are a person who knows everything, you are like Antaryami sort. You know everything what's happening in and around in everybody's life. You can be called as omniscient. Usually again, this happens to people who are enlightened. Omnivorous. Omnivorous means who eats all kinds of food or varieties of foods. Okay, over here, basically if you are a person who eats veg, non-veg, different varieties of food, you never categorize yourself into something very particular, then you are called as an omnivorous. You must have definitely learned this word during your school days when you learned biology for sure. Right? Omnipresent. Omnipresent means present everywhere, present in all. Okay? It's always said God the Almighty is omnipresent because God is present everywhere and God is present in every person. Let's look at the next root word, that is Greg. Greg is a very important root word which means flock or in group. In fact, you can even consider this as a sort of collection. Okay? Look at the word. So obviously the meaning of the root word Greg will appear in the meaning of all the words what we have right now here on the screen. Let's check whether it is working or not. Gregarious. You can see Greg here. Gregarious is a person who is very sociable. Basically who loves to be with group of people. If you are a person who is sociable, who loves to be with people, hang around, party, okay, attend functions, etc., then you are a gregarious person. Aggregate. Aggregate usually means collection of percentage, or you can say flock of percentage. So let's say you are studying engineering and from first semester to 8th semester, whatever you score, together it will be called as aggregation, or even some people even call it as CGPA. Congregate. Congregate is a word which actually means coming together in group. Coming together in group for a purpose. For a purpose. For example, if you have any Christian friends, you can definitely ask them. Some people say, I go to church every Sunday. Some people say, I attend mass every Sunday. Some people say, I attend fellowship every Sunday. And some people even say, I have a congregation to attend every Sunday. So whichever word you are going to use from this entire list, doesn't matter. It means coming together in group for a purpose, especially for a religious purpose. What happens every Sunday with Christians is they go and assemble in a place called church where they praise, they worship, they receive the message from God and they say goodbye to one another and they leave from there, right? That's what is exactly called as congregation. Segregate. Who doesn't know segregate? Segregate is all about separating things in groups. Okay. So when you have too many items piled up together, you have to separate them in different groups so that it will be easy to use them whenever we need to, right? Look at the root word Greg, which means group. You can see the meaning group in Gregarious, which means a person who loves to be in the group. Aggregate, the group or the collection of percentage. Congregate, people coming together in group to praise and worship. Segregate, separating things in group. So the word group is reflecting in the meaning of every word. Now let's discuss two more root words. First one is bi. You should be definitely able to recollect we discussed a word called bigamy under the root word gamy, where we learned marrying two women, right? Simultaneously having two wives. That's what we understood. So some more words under bi. Look at the word binary. Please understand Bi means two. Anything which has bi has something to do with two, directly or indirectly, for sure. Binary means something based on two things. Okay? Anything which is based on two things is actually called as binary. Next one, bilateral. Bilateral means something which has two sides. Okay, side 1 and side 2. Biannual. Annual means year. Bi means twice. 2. So in other words, biannual means twice a year. When it happens, something happens once in 6 months. Next one is belly. Very, very important. Keep these two words what we are going to discuss. Belly actually means warlike or aggressive. Okay, you're always in the war mood where you are speaking very aggressively in a high pitch, with a high tone, with high volume, right? We have three words over here. First one is bellicose. Bellicose is a very important word. And belligerent, which means very aggressive. Okay, you are a person who is always against, right? So you are so aggressive that people always keep that distance with you. Rebellion. You could be a rebel at home. So if you are a rebellion, look at this, B-E-L-L-I, rebellion, belly, right? As you can see it here too, belly and belly, right? Rebellion means who always stands against. Stands against. Okay? In other words, when any kind of harassment, any kind of torture, or maybe you're going through any kind of situation where you feel that your rights are curtailed, you definitely become a rebel. You stand against and you say, whatever you're doing is absolutely wrong. You cannot talk to me like this. You cannot treat me like this in a very fair manner. So that's exactly it's called as rebellion. So belly means warlike or aggressive. Any word which has belly has to do with being aggressive or being warlike. Alright, let's get into the next root word, that is sid or cis. I think this is going to be very important because we have plenty of words under the same category, which means cut or kill. Okay, cut or kill. Let's start with the examples. Incision, you can see C-I-S, incision. Incision is a medical terminology for operation. You must have definitely seen one or the other person going under one or the other kind of operation. So that act of operation is actually called as incision, right? Incisor basically is a tool which has teeth to cut, okay, like scissors, like knife, etc. So basically these tools are used to perform operation for a very good purpose, right? So you can put a cut on a person for a positive reason. You can even put a cut on a person too for a negative reason too, to kill the person. Homicide, very important word. Homicide basically means killing others. Look at the root word here, sid, C-I-D, sid, which means killing others. If killing others is a part-time job in your life, you kill anybody and everybody without even thinking for a second, having a forethought, then definitely you are in the act of homicide. Okay? Basically, you are a murderer. Next, patricide. Patri is a root word which means father. Sit is a root word which means kill. If you kill your father, then it can be called as patricide. Matri again means mother. Patri and matri are opposite root words. Sid means kill. If you kill your own mother, which shouldn't happen at all at any cost, however, the meaning of the word is killing your mother. Regicide. Regi actually, it comes from royal. In other words, king or queen. So if you kill your king or the person who is ruling, then it's considered as regicide. Fratricide, killing your brother. Sororicide, killing your sister. Filicide, killing your children. Chronocide. Chrono actually is a root which means race, which is connected to people. I'm not talking about running race or any other races. Here it is race of people. Okay. So if you kill the entire race of people or your own race of people, it's actually called as Chronocide. Usoricide means killing your wife and Mariticide is killing your husband. We have too many words under this category. This is going to be really helpful for you. Please make sure you're learning all these words, because one or the other word from this list what we have discussed will certainly pop up as a question in one or the other company specific question papers, or maybe it could be in any other competitive examinations too. The next root word what we have over here is chrono. Chrono means time. Chronology. So chronology, study of time, basically. Study of time. Chronology. Chronograph. Chronograph, this is again made up of two root words, chrono and graph. Chrono means time. Graphy, everything comes under this same category. It's like statistics or data, right? We learned this word under demography. It's the same one. So chronograph is basically an instrument which records time. Okay. Chronogram is inscription in which the capital letters are interpreted in Roman numerals. Okay. We all know Roman letters, right? 1, 2, 3, etc. So whenever the same thing happens, it is inscripted with the help of the interpretation of Roman numerals. It's actually called as chronogram. The other root word is cent, which means 100. Whenever you come across the word cent, actually cent is a word in itself. When we say I'm expecting cent % marks in my examination, you're expecting 100%, 100 out of 100 percentage in the examination, right? Cent is definitely not a new word for any of us, but we have three words which are very important. Century, come on, who doesn't know the word century? You think of century, only two people keep coming to your brains over and over again. One is definitely god of cricket, that is Mr. Sachin Tendulkar. Second one is Virat Kohli, right? So century means 100 runs. Centenarian means a person who has completed 100 years. Yes, there are very few people who are extremely lucky enough to complete 100 years living on this earth. Alright, so that is called as centenarian. Centenary means who has lived for 100 years. Okay, so you can even consider this as people who lived up to 100 years. Okay, that is called as centenary. So look at this, cent. All the three words have something to do with 100 for sure. Exactly the same manner, even in chrono. All the three words have something to do with time for sure, directly or indirectly. Isn't this very beautiful? That's all I've got for all of you in this video, and I'll be back very soon with another video with another solid topic in Love for English series of videos. Okay, until then, please take a great care of yourself and have an amazing time ahead. If you really learned something from the video, I request you to please like, share and do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching the video.